Welcome back, and here's an educational and informative look on what the hell is going on with AI. Let's dive in.
The club is packed, but I feel alone. Everyone's dancing, but I'm on my own.
With help from Taryn, we laid down the vocals.
The moonlight guides away until the break of dawn.
In the night sky, I see my past, all the regret and the pain that I amassed.
Now, all that was left was to dub our voices with AI-generated versions of Drake and Katy Perry for the final product.
Wow. You guys think it sounds good?
In just 5 hours, with multiple software programs, a bona fide hit.
Leave a comment below if you're liking it or not.
How far should AI be involved in music?
I think it's less of a, is it morally or ethically right or wrong, and more, how can we better the technology so that there is a fair and equitable system in place.
Streaming services eventually pulled hard on my sleeve, but not before spawning 10 million listens. Universal Music Group, who represents Drake and The Weeknd, saying it has a fundamental legal and ethical responsibility to prevent the use of their services in ways that harm artists.
You almost don't know where to begin with the copyright and ownership issues because there really isn't a clear precedent for it.
Is AI the next Napster?
It's a threat to copyright, realistically.
Right now, you can listen to AI Kanye singing Hey There Delilah.
Hey there Delilah, what's it like in New York City?
Or AI Rihanna stealing Beyonce's Cuffin'. Some artists are embracing it. Singer-songwriter Grimes says she would split 50% of the royalties on an AI collab using her voice. And
now there's an idea that'll work.
Gaze beyond to the brave new world of music. Steve Patterson, NBC News.
What the fuck? There's no way y'all can mix it up. Dude, that sounds so real, dude.
This is both terrifying and amazing. Images the potential for both good and bad. What's weird is this is an older song and it sounds like the AI was trained with younger Uzi references. This is impressive.
Dude, that is really scary, bro. That is so fucking scary, bro.
The definition of music is being rewritten before our eyes.
Website here is probably the biggest threat to beat makers, producers, composers, because as these big labels like Universal Music Group are fighting the AI Drake voice, they're investing in this platform that makes beats with the click of a button. Beat makers and producers watching this video, are you like me and you just can't wait to be replaced by some artificial intelligence platform? Yeah, it's that conversation again. And a lot of craziness has been going on, especially with this whole ghostwriter thing where, I don't know, if you've been living under a rock, somebody used some AI program to impersonate both Weeknd and Drake, and they made a beat. I'm going to talk about the beat in a second because this is important. The biggest record labels on the planet have been bending over backwards to get this song removed. It's a fake Drake featuring the Weeknd record. Universal Music Group, the biggest label on the planet, did respond. They do claim that these AI generated songs are, and therefore they're pulling the strings they can pull because the labels are very much in partnerships and various agreements with all of the platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, etc. And a lot of people are calling this a Napster moment. In this particular conversation, Dave Edwards disagrees with that. I'm going to use Napster more as an analogy and not a direct comparison here. He also believes that the music industry won't be the most impacted by this. He says the film industry will be, which I think is an interesting take. As we've seen so far, probably the most widely used AI generated content is graphics and possibly video. The fact that we're talking about music right now just shows that the music business is incredibly reactive. And for once, they're actually reacting pretty quickly. And when I say they're reacting quickly, I also mean the United States Copyright Department, because this is a mess for copyright. Now, when it comes to ghostwriter, I don't really know much about him. I think he's a singer-songwriter and a producer because someone had to make that beat. I think the case is interesting. Some people are comparing him to Danger Mouse. If you're not old enough to remember Danger Mouse, he's the guy who remixed Jay-Z's The Black album. He actually did it with Acid Pro, the trash-ass program that I used to make my beats. He got in a lot of legal trouble for dropping that album. He called it the Gray album because he mashed it up with the Beatles' White album. So you have Jay-Z on the one hand and the Beatles on the other. You're infringing both of their copyrights. It became a big case. He ended up becoming a famous musician. He joined forces with CeeLo. They dropped the album Saint Elsewhere, I believe it was called, under the group named Gnarls Barkley. They had that song Crazy. So a lot of people are saying that this ghostwriter dude is just taking the same approach. And right now, he, her, or they're taking these legal risks so that they come out ahead eventually when all is said and done. There is a rumor floating around that the labels did not take ghostwriter's songs off of the platforms, but ghostwriter actually removed them just to avoid any additional legal heat. But what a lot of people aren't talking about is the fact that if you listen to the track, and I think most people have at this point, there's a Metro Boomin tag at the beginning. Obviously, Metro Boomin didn't make that beat. Metro is signed to Republic Records. Guess who the parent company of Republic Records is? Universal Music Group. Are you shocked? This is the main label going against AI-generated music right now. They're the ones making all the statements. They're the ones allocating the legal resources and the energy to apparently combat AI-generated music. They claim that they're all about the art.
So like Mel, where it's going is, like, if you lose someone, they're saying that by the time they got this shit perfected, you really won't lose them. And that's where it gets tricky. Like, you will be able to literally sit down and have a conversation with that loved one that you want, and they'll be able to pull so much from them that it'll.
That's fucking insane.
That is so insane, but
fucking wrong.
I don't think so. I'm on the other side of this.
Wow.
There's a lot of people that
miss loved ones. And
it's not just about missing someone. It's losing. Some people, when they lose a loved one, they lose some of themselves. I know. I'm trying that. I know.
Yeah.
But
yo,
I'm trying.
Hey, scammers, get ready. We fucking got him.
No, you ain't hear what they said too.
The scammers.
They said,
I'm your Uncle Dennis.
They said, yo, dog, now you got to start giving your mother and your grandparents and them a code word, because they're saying with the AI, they're going to start getting your voice. And it's like if you called your mom, right? And said, Mom, yo, they got me in such and such. I need you to wire me some money.
I know,
blah, 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 blah.
He just repeating it. But.
Using the, you know what I mean? Your loved one's voice. Your grandparents going to be like, I need to send a check too.
Y'all grandparents broke, nigga. Y'all dead. The fuck is you talking? Your grandparents don't love y'all like you think they love y'all. No.
That's my whole thing about AI. What happens when the AI gets better than the artists who are uninspired, who, because they care about creativity and artistry, they have clammed up. They don't want to work with other people. So their creative process is the same that it's been for the last 5-10 years. We're hearing the same sounds. They're not that creative. Obviously, not Drake and Weeknd. They're still pretty creative. But what happens when the AI songs get better than their songs? Sorry to tell y'all, I've never heard the song before. It's the first time I'm playing it right now. This song's better than Search and Rescue. 100% by a mile. So what happens when an AI song created by fans, or maybe created by a couple of writers or producers who have just cooked this up, is better than the songs that Drake could produce? What happens then? What happens then? Are we here for the best art, or do we suppress the art to protect the integrity of the artist? That's the interesting part of it. That's the interesting part of it. I've said that I think that people are scared of this technology now in terms of music, but they will be eventually going to use it. You know why? I believe that what happens when, hey, if somebody goes to Pop Smoke's family and say, yo, you know, we found this rhyme book. He wanted to record these type of songs before he passed away, but we can still get his voice to do it. All we have to do is use AI. Is that a problem? Will you be mad? His family wanted to do that. What about Pooh Shiesty? He's locked up. He probably want to record certain songs that he probably got ideas he record over a jail phone to his homies. Maybe there's a production company that could make that happen. Is that wrong? Why don't you use AI? Why don't you use AI for reference tracks? People make reference tracks. If music is about making the best art, why not utilize the technology rather than suppress it? What better way could we tell that you're a great writer or a great producer other than you making a full track with AI? Oh shit, I just heard, if I'm Drake and a writer comes with me with some rhymes, now I got to think about how you would sing it and I would sing it. Oh, shit, no, I already got your voice singing the shit. Maybe you could redo it or add ad-libs to your own AI. Also, here's the thing, and I mentioned this on the Young Blue episode. Drake is somebody, he's at every fucking front row seat at every basketball game. He's fucking 30 bitches. He got mad things, mad motion. You think he got time to really be cooking up lyrics and all that type of stuff? If AI could basically come up with ideas, or people could present ideas with the use of AIs, isn't your album creation process even easier and quicker? You've worked with Quentin Miller to create some of the greatest works. What's wrong with that? I think this will be used, especially for posthumous or locked up artists, and I think it will be refined over time. Now, I was going to wait for this, but I'll give the announcement now. Chat, what was going to happen?
Maybe labels just want to control these AI platforms, right? It could be. Maybe they just see the writing on the wall and then know that AI is going to be used heavily in the future, so they just want to invest in a platform that's going to give them a return on their investment. Or maybe because they know that eventually these AI platforms are going to get really advanced and they want to get in on it and eventually start using these platforms to generate music for their own catalog so they can pay music producers, composers, songwriters less money in the future. And that's why I find it so funny when producers make these wild claims. You know, they're just sitting there saying, I can't wait until AI replaces all you Fruity Loop producers. Once AI replaces all these little crummy producers, the real talent's gonna have to take the lead.
Y'all bunch of Fruity Loop producers that use Fruity Loops and all these programs, don't even know how to play a instrument. Yo, stop playing, man. Stop playing with me.
I don't want to get too far into that, but think about that. A lot of us, whether we're contributing to an AI platform by, you know, sending them in our loops or our MIDIs or whatever the case, or we're just sitting back breathing heavily and sweating because we think at some point when AI replaces producers that are doing better than us, somehow that's a win for us. All of us are contributing to the potential loss of opportunity for ourselves. Because what drives a producer's success right now? Is it simply talent? I mean, when AI comes along and everyone can make beats with the click of a button and they sound pretty good, are the only producers who are going to survive this AI takeover the most talented? I don't think so. I can name more producers that I can count with two hands who are far more talented.
You know what's crazy? Check this out. Swear to God, I ain't tell you about this either, cause I wanted to see your face when I say it.
What?
Most of these questions came from an AI.
You lying.
Swear to God.
You know,
oh
my God, they trying to take our job. I be seeing, I don't really be seeing the AI beat shit. I be seeing people talk about it, but like I be seeing more so like, I be seeing like the AI pictures, like the AI art. I be seeing that.
Damn, this shit pretty advanced.
How they do that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know whether to hate technology or like it.
Crazy,
like,
man. That shit's so crazy.
That's too.
It's too much. Bro.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's
that's
getting creepy.
Very invasive.
But really, as far as AI, as far as like production and beat make, it don't.
That's definitely cheating.
Yeah, it is. But I'm spiritual, so I know like I put my soul in my music, and that's something AI don't.
Dedicating the legal resources and the energy to apparently combat AI generated music. They claim that they're all about the artist. They're all about the money. You know what it is. It's the music business. And there's actually a plot twist at the end of all of this. So how is this going to affect us as music producers, as beat makers, right? Let's go back to this idea of ownership. Remember in my last video, I talked about how a lot of producers, maybe I didn't talk about this, a lot of producers believe that AI generated music, you know, if you generate a sample with AI or whatever the case is, it can't be copyrighted. Now, that's kind of true and kind of not true. The US Copyright Office says that works generated 100% by an AI platform cannot be copyrighted. But if someone takes the AI generated content and adds something to it, transforms it, then it can be copyrighted. So an AI generated melody turned into a beat can be copyrighted. That beat can be copyrighted, but I guess the AI generated melody can't be. And that's because it involves some sort of human input. Let's extend that to AI generated beats, right? So if a rapper generates a beat from some sort of great AI platform that makes dope beats, which currently doesn't exist because they all make pretty mediocre beats, and then that rapper turns that AI generated beat into a full song, that could be transformative enough for the rapper to assume copyright ownership of both the beat and the song, or I guess the song as a whole. And we're talking both copyrights, underlying composition and master. And then that means they can go to a label and sell that song to the label. If, say, it has viral success on TikTok, the label's going to pay them as both the artist and the producer. Now, what I want to know is, how are the labels going to be able to verify that this rapper with this beat that was generated from an AI platform is actually telling the truth? Because labels are skeptical about that. They might believe that this rapper just took it off of YouTube and they don't want to get in any sort of trouble by some producer popping up a year from now demanding some sort of money. I mean, these are things to consider in the future as AI technology evolves. Are these platforms giving full copyright ownership to the people who use them to generate a beat, for example? My guess is probably not, but we'll talk about this later because there are some platforms already in motion right now. And then also, are they going to provide the stems to you? Maybe they will. But, and there are going to be a lot of buts in this video, these AI platforms need input. They need to be trained. And how are they trained? By getting fed existing copyrighted material. You can't train an AI beat generator to make a Metro Boomin beat without feeding it beats actually made by Metro Boomin so they can learn how a Metro Boomin beat actually sounds. The same way you can't train an AI voice changer to sound like Drake, or an AI lyrics generator to write a song like Drake without feeding it Drake's music and Drake's lyrics, both of which are copyrighted by Drake and his label. Same with the Metro Boomin beat. And these are huge labels worth billions of dollars. So this is interesting. The labels could, with enough effort and money, shut down these AI platforms that use copyrighted materials to generate new songs or beats or, you know, whatever it is. And yo, shout out to Carl Folks. And he's a real ass lawyer too. It's not just DJ Payne one saying this. AI companies using copyrighted works to train their models to create similar works is exactly the type of behavior the Copyright Office and courts should explicitly ban. Original art is meant to be protected by law, not works created by machines that use the original art to create new works. So this is where a lot of the problems lie. However, AI has another challenge. There's a law called the right of publicity, and this certainly can apply to these AI vocal generators, right? So on this website, broadcastlawblog.com, the test, this is how they explain it. The test for infringement of the right of publicity requires no proof of falsity, confusion, or deception, but rather is governed by the test of identifiability of the person. So in the case of an AI Taylor Swift voice, replace Taylor Swift with Drake if you'd like, since that's kind of a more relevant example. If the voice is identifiable as Ms. Swift, the use may constitute a violation regardless of whether the broadcaster explicitly identifies the voice as that of Taylor Swift. Now, in the case of this ghostwriter track, that person is identifying it as Drake and The Weeknd. There's no question there. But apparently, according to this website, even if this track wasn't identified as Drake featuring The Weeknd or however it was labeled, they could still be in trouble because they are still violating this law called the right of publicity. They're infringing on it. So will this apply to beats? And I wonder, I think if the labels feel like it does, this is my guess, I'm not a legal expert, if it does step on their money when it comes to the producers signed to their labels, then yes, they could shut down AI beat generating platforms. Their priority is going to be singers and rappers though. It's not going to be producers and beat makers, because when it comes to signed artists, we as producers are the minority. But a lot of big producers are signed to publishing deals. The publishers could step in. I mean, Universal Music Group does have a publishing division, UMPG. Now, what about sample generating platforms? Absolutely, right? So for example, let's go with a soul sample, right? You go to this doesn't exist yet, but you go, I don't think it does, at least someone in the comments will correct me. You go to this amazing AI sample generator and you say, I want a soulful 70s sample. How did they train the AI to create a soulful 70s style sample? They fed that AI, they trained it on Marvin Gaye and Willie Hutch and the stylistics, right? And these are big artists whose catalogs are owned by some of the biggest labels, including Universal Music Group. You see where this is going? So let's go back to the Napster analogy. Napster was a free file sharing service, basically like what torrents are today. The label shut Napster down. The label said they didn't want music to be free. They said music should not be freely shared. Is music free today? Yes, it is. Why? Because the labels realized that they could make a killing even if music was made completely free. That's why we have streaming. Streaming is free music. Music is free, but the labels are still profiting from it. So will the labels do the same thing with AI? Because right now they're fighting it. Will they soon embrace it? Same as they did with Napster. Here's where things get weird. This website here is probably the biggest threat to beat makers, producers, composers, because as these big labels like Universal Music Group are fighting the AI Drake voice, they're investing in this platform that makes beats with the click of a button. The website is called Soundful. They have generated 3.8 million from Universal Music Group, Beatport, Disney, and others. Look at these traders. It is an AI powered music creation platform. Aspiring creators with minimal experience can now sound like a professional by using Soundful to quickly generate ideas or hooks and beds to build on their own creativity and style. It doesn't look like it's being marketed to rappers and singers. It looks like it's being marketed to, disappeared, content creators. So filmmakers, vloggers, YouTubers, TikTokers, Twitch streamers, etc. And when I explore more, I'm not going to play any of these because I don't want to get struck. But as I listen to the stuff and read more about it, what it looks like is, I don't know how they can say stop worrying about copyright strikes, because what's going to happen if someone just runs this stuff through Content ID? It's going to be the same old thing.
All in all, I think the game will forever be changed. AI is here to stay, whether it's good or bad. And I mean, it's interesting to see where it's going to go. If you guys want to tell us anything or another video for us to drop, put it down in the comments. And you know, as always, will it?